It's time to unleash the expert. What is he an expert on? Relationships, sex, spirituality, and rediscovering yourself beyond the trauma. Get ready to unleash more purpose, passion, and pleasure in your life. Here's the expert himself, Mr. Brannon Patrick.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Brannon Patrick Show. Appreciate you coming back here and listening. And I hope I can deliver some content that gets you thinking, helps you grow, helps you move forward, helps you live the life that you want to live. One of the first things I want to say before I get into the content here is my last episode, I shared some personal stuff about my journey, and it's a continued journey. It's still going. But I've been overwhelmed with gratitude for good people who reached out to me after listening to that episode. And I just got to say, it's people who are very much in the church. It's some people who have left. It's people from all walks of life. And you reaching out to me has meant so much. And I've gotten emails from strangers. I've gotten texts from good friends and neighbors, family members. I just love you guys. I just really appreciate you and appreciate the space that you give me and the trust that you give me as I navigate the journey. So I just feel like I need to start this episode by just saying thank you to all of the response and all of the people that have reached out to me. I haven't had one negative response. And I've had a ton of love poured upon me. So thank you. All right. I want to talk today about one of my favorite topics. And a lot has happened in the last little while for me. In the month of April, we did our women's retreat, which was amazing, where we did some things that were risky and fun and scary and challenging and help people dig really deep. And then I spent a week in Peru where I took 14 people and my wife down to Peru and had just an amazing experience with the people that came and with the land and with the medicine and all of those things. And it was so awesome. But one guy who went down to Peru with me, he said, "Brannon, I'm actually really surprised at your willingness to take risk. Like your risk tolerance is pretty high. Like, wow." And I don't know exactly what he meant by that, of like maybe all the liabilities of going down to Peru or what he was talking about with that. But I actually took that as a huge compliment. I believe that risk is one of the recipes for really good mental health. And let me explain so that I don't sound like I'm just out creating destruction or whatever, like just go to town. But risk is very important for good mental health. So at the women's retreat, we go down to this river and we stand in the river, and the river, it's the Virgin River in southern Utah. This time of year, there's a lot of runoff, so it's moving pretty steadily. But there's little eddies and little pools around the river and little puddles even on the side of the river. And what you'll notice is the water that's moving, it seems very happy is what I'll call it. It seems like it's flowing. It seems cleaner and more alive. And the water that's stagnating is growing bacteria. It's muddy. It can even get stinky. Like it's not where you want to swim in the swampy stagnation. And a lot of people live their lives in that stagnation and not in the flow, not in the movement, not in the flowing waters. And there's a reason. It's a lot safer in the water that's not moving. You can predict what's going to happen. This water won't move. I'll sit here. and I'll get used to this water and I'll just continue to sit here. If I move out further into the river, I could get swept away. Who knows how powerful that river is and where is it going to take me? I don't know. So why would I ever do that? Why would I go out into that life-giving water when this dead water here keeps me safe? Well, there's a reason why. According to Forbes, 70% of Americans are unfulfilled at their job. 70%? That's really sad. Those golden handcuffs keep people safe enough that they don't take risk to make changes to actually feel more alive. If you're unfulfilled at your job, there's a lot of implications. There's a ton of consequences. Depression, addiction, all kinds of things start to come up. Health problems, just numbing your life out because you spend so much time at your job, so much time at your work. But if it gives you a steady paycheck, why would you change it? There are so many people. I talk about different types of marriage. And here's a couple of types. There's the type where they don't like each other. They don't have intimacy. They don't have connection. They don't have those things, but it's convenient for the finances and for not hurting the kids. And so they stay in it. That's one type of relationship. There's another type where they're friends. They're not that close. They don't hate each other, but they're friends. And so, why not stay in it? Because, we get along good enough. And then there's the type where they have real deep connection, intimacy, love. They learn about themselves through the relationship and they learn about the other person on a deep, deep level. There's passion. There's connection. There's good sex. There's intimacy. There's connection spiritually. What that requires is for each partner to actually practice some real vulnerability and risk, courage. So you can see it in the workplace. You can see it in relationship. Also, this happens a lot with God and spirituality. What I practice is good enough for me. I don't know if it really is like lighting me on fire spiritually, but I'll do it anyways because it's what I'm used to. So there's a stagnation there of what I'm used to. So why would I challenge anything or do anything different? Because I can go through these motions here for the rest of my life and at least get this stuff out of it. To take some risks spiritually, is scary, but yet it might be life-giving. So career, relationship, spiritually, even emotionally, to take some risks on an emotional level to create friendships, to create deep connections with people, to have boundaries, to listen to yourself, to speak up, and to just be a healthy human being. It sometimes takes risk. You're so used to your unhealthiness that it's so scary to act in a healthy way. So risk is absolutely imperative for healthy, for being healthy. So I have a good buddy who was a couple years older than me, and he had a job that he did not like. And his wife had a job she didn't like either. And they were raising kids, and their kids were getting older. They had 4 kids. And he started reading all these books about business and stuff. And he was reading these books, and they were kind of firing him up. And he was listening to podcasts, and he was like, you know what? I can start a business. And at the time, he was just working a public service job, just not really doing much other than going to this like government type job. It was paying enough. It was barely getting by, but paying the bills. And he's like priming the pump. And this is like, he's like 46 years old to take a big risk and start a business. So he sold his house. He took all of the equity that he got, which was a lot. Well, it was a good chunk of change. And he put it into starting a restaurant. And I just thought, holy cow, like he's got balls of steel. Look at this guy. And so I went to his restaurant and it was good. And I thought, well, good for him. You know, I hope that this has staying power and that he can at least get his money back. He now has one of the fastest growing restaurant chains in the country. He's worth millions and millions of dollars. And he is just thriving. So he went from this public service job at 46 years old to this thriving business. Now, he put it on the line. He took a big risk, and that risk paid off. I have another friend who took a really big risk, business-wise, financially, put a bunch of money in, and it failed. He lost a bunch of money. Just lost it. Should he have not taken that risk? At the time, he was feeling like he wanted more in life. He wanted to create more. He wanted to do more. But he didn't need to take that risk. He could have just been working the job he was working and been fine for the rest of his life. That buddy of mine was depressed. He needed something to feel alive. He needed something to feel good, to go for something in his life. I think absolutely it was a good thing he took that risk. Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100, it's the cliche quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You know, how are you going to score if you never go for it? Garth's quote, life is not tried, it is merely survived if you're standing outside the fire. Jump in the fire. Actually jump in the fire. So if you shift your perspective in life to this is an opportunity for growth. I remember when I was a young therapist, I got this job at this program that got pretty intense clients coming through. Criminal clients, people with pretty big records, people with severe mental illness. And we would sit down and as a team, and we'd get new clients coming in, and we would staff these clients, and we'd say, here's their presenting problems. This is what's going on. And then we would say, who wants to take on this client? And I was a young therapist, brand new, and I would sit there and I would wait for the craziest ones. I would wait for the most complex, interesting, just crazy ones. And my caseload was very fascinating. And it was fun. I learned so much, and I failed a lot because there's no way that I couldn't have in some ways. But I loved it. And at the beginning of my career as a therapist, that's what I wanted. I wanted to experience everything, so nothing fazed me. I wanted to be able to navigate the difficult stuff. I wanted to be able to learn how to work with a team on working with the difficult stuff with people. And I'm so grateful that I have that attitude of let's step in the fire. Like, let's do this so that I can learn, so that I can grow. Taking risk, it gives you 4 things. It provides, learning and growth. You'll never get the learning and the growth if you never take the leap. It teaches you how to be resilient. So if you fail or if you succeed, it teaches you how to, no matter what, learn from it and be resilient and move forward beyond that failure or success. Now, it can teach you that. Sometimes if you fail, some people will say, never should have done it. That was the worst. What was I thinking? And they go back to the stagnation. They go back to the old safe way of living. So growth, resilience, it creates self-confidence. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand, but confidence is gained through experience. You will not get experience if you never jump in the arena. If you're always on the sideline thinking that you should, or you wish you would, you won't gain that experience. You won't get the payout of the confidence. And there's a bunch of different arenas that we're all dealing with in life. And some of us are sitting on the sidelines of some and in other arenas. But if you're sitting on the sidelines of some, you might look at that and say, okay, am I being called to jump in that arena? I am being called to take people down to Peru for deep healing trauma work. Is there liabilities to that? Yes. Is it stressful? Is it hard? It can be. But I gain confidence in my work and in my purpose and in my legacy and in who I am by actually following through and doing stuff like that. Especially when I see the deep healing happen when we go, it makes it all worth it. All right. So the last thing, and this is one I think that we don't talk about much, but risk-taking creates learning and growth, resiliency, confidence. The other thing it does is it helps you understand your creative powers. So it helps you understand what you can create, which is awesome. It actually creates things. If I take a risk to start a business, I create a business. If I take a risk to go deeper in a relationship, I create intimacy and I create connection. Without the risk, without the courage and stepping into it, I don't create. So risk-taking creates. It's kind of like that water that's flowing down. It's going to get somewhere. It's going to hydrate someone. It's going to help a plant grow. It's going to create a reservoir. It's going to create something somewhere as long as it flows to its destination. But it's got to flow to the destination. And the way it flows to the destination is not by letting fear trip it up, not by letting fear keep it stagnant, but stepping into that fear and allowing it to get there. There's a theory, and I think it's actually really true. At least I think both men and women need to take risks in their life in order to feel alive. I think one of the reasons why sometimes moms feel like, I don't know if I can just stay at home with the kids all the time, is they feel a little bit of mundaneness and boredom there. And I'm not saying everybody does, but they want more. They want more connection. They want more risk. They want more to create more. And I'm not downplaying what they're doing as a mom, raising children, because that's a huge, somewhat at times mundane, difficult job. And there's something inside of them that says, I want to do something more than this. And that's okay. Absolutely. And then for men, there's something inside of men that says, like, go fight a battle, go be a part of something bigger, live on the edge. And when you live on that edge, you actually resonate in more healthy masculinity, because you're stepping in. You're not acting out of fear, and the people around you, your kids and your wife, will feel from you that you're willing to step in. You're willing to live on that edge. The threshold guardians will come around and say, don't go on the edge. What I mean is the voices will come around. Don't go out there. You'll get hurt. You'll fail. You'll be seen as inadequate. Please don't go out there. And yet you step out there anyways. There's a difference between impulse and courage. So when I talk about risk taking, I'm not talking about just willy-nilly doing whatever the heck you want in the moment. That's impulse. That's just it's just like destructively doing whatever. Versus courage. So courage is, I feel called to this thing. It's calling to me. I have all these threshold guardians or all these voices saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I do it anyways because I know that it's right. So I'm going to allow myself to step in. Way different than impulse. There's a difference between self-destruction and self-realization. You know, well, hey, it's a big risk for me to go like divorce my wife and, you know, like sell my business and like get rid of everything. Like, sure, is that a big risk? I don't know. It depends on where I'm coming from with it. If I'm coming from a place of I want to just tear everything down because I can't handle it anymore, that's not risk. If I'm coming to it from a place of self-realization, of realizing who I actually am and what is truth for me, then doing those things might be risk. But it really depends on where I'm coming from. Am I stepping into truth, or am I running away and creating chaos out of fear? There's difference. I've heard it said before that addiction is somebody's attempt to find God. And what's interesting about addiction is the tolerance thing, where after a while, if you're using something, eventually you need a little bit more of it in order to have those dopamine receptors actually feel as much dopamine. And so you push a limit, and then you push a limit again, and you push a limit again. And I've talked to many people who have found themselves doing things that they never thought they would have in a million years, yet they did it anyways because they wanted more dopamine. We are naturally designed to push and to get dopamine hits. There's nothing wrong with getting dopamine hits if you're doing it in the areas or in the ways that God wants you to. We have those dopamine hits built inside of us for a reason. Not taking any risks, then I'm not going to feel that excitement in my life. I'm thinking of a good buddy of mine right now who has taken on like building his entire house. And while he's running a business and raising a family and but I love it. And when I talk to him, he's so excited about it. And I know it's stressful and I know it's hard and I know it's all these things, but he's going to look back on that and realize holy cow, I grew. I've learned how to be resilient to the ups and downs of this thing. I've gained confidence, and look what I've created. I've created all of these things. When you're laying there on your deathbed, or let's say you're laying there, you not being able to speak, but you just have to think. Do you want to be thinking about all the things that you wish you should have done? Or do you want to think about all the experiences that you had? All of the crazy, beautiful, amazing experiences that you had. In teaching my children how to ski, skiing is awesome because the blessing and the growth is right beyond the fear. So when I watch them ski, they'll get comfortable and they'll just be doing the same thing again and again. And I'll push them. I'll say, hey, push into that the way you're stopping. Straighten your skis out from French fry it. Straighten those skis out for just a little longer. And they'll be like, oh, I don't want to. I don't. But then they do it, and then they fall or they catch themselves and they're like, whoa, that felt better than what I've been doing. And piece by piece, they start to realize taking these risks is actually making me a better skier. And I can do a lot more now. You guys, as I've been talking, if something's coming up for you, whether it's a spiritual thing, relationship thing, financial thing, don't discount that. Listen to what's coming up for you as I'm talking about this thing. And if you identify something, then listen to what that means to get in the arena there. Have a great day. See ya.